Excuse me. Need a peg, man. Burping on air, man. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? All right. Let me check some stuff out. I'm tripping. You know, as usual, we got to do the setup. There's a little delay. I'm live. I'm live. You. Uh-oh. Let me silence this. Let me silence the background. What up, Doom? What up, Doom? My man, Philosopher Doom in the house. Let's see as many people come in. All that fun stuff. Let me do this too. I forgot to set up the restream, man. I'm bugging. I'm bugging. Man. All these people, my man. Philosopher Doom's in the house. Yo. Yeah, Doom says burping on air. You fool from that General So's gaming. Hey man, look, I'm going to speak it, but before I speak it, I want everybody to realize that I don't have the game yet, but I've seen some things. That not so much are troubling about the game. I've seen some things that trouble me about the community. You know what I'm saying? And I apologize. I'm by like a real busy intersection. And even with my windows closed early in the morning, there's nothing but trucks driving by. You know what I mean? So if y'all can hear it in the background, my apologies, man. Big ups to Neverland in the chat. God of War 10 and 10 light work. I'm glad you say that because this is the subject matter at hand. All right. So let me get into this because what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my stinking ass after I get, because I didn't go to work today. I'm going to wash my stinking ass. I'm going to go get me some coffee, you know what I'm saying? Get myself all set up. And then I'm going to do I'm going to do some more pony gaming until my God of War comes. It's coming today. It should be here in the next few hours. You know what I mean? You know, your boy had to do it on the cheap. You know, had to go to errands. Drop my $20 at errands because it's not going to take me a week to beat this. You know, maybe a few days, at it. And then I'm going to go, play some more games. I'm going to get my week's worth out of it. Stream all that stuff. I'm going to go pony. So if I don't go into spastic shock, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to let y'all know how I felt about it. No, I'm not playing no Xbox games for the whole week. This is a challenge for myself. Neverland says you talking about the ultimate form of cuckery from IGN, Ryan McCaffrey, and these crying ass ex-slaves. Whatever. Hey, Graphic on. What's up, Jay? What's going on, man? It's been a long time, man. Ain't been able to chat it up with you, you know. Been working, man. I hope everything's good. Graphic God in the chat. Celebrity. All right. So, Neverland, to address what you've been saying. You've been talking about the ultimate form of cuckery from IGN and Ryan McCaffrey and these crying ex-slaves. Here's what I want to say about that real quick, and then I'm going to get into this, and then, we're going to do our thing. What happened at IGN was buffoonery, okay? And for those of you that aren't aware, somebody from the social media lab or wing of IGN posted some videos. Posted a video or a split screen showing God of War on the PlayStation 4 version and the Xbox version. And of course, the Xbox version was blank. And they thought that would be cute and funny. And see, here's the thing. Normally, in a different environment, it would just be a decent, cheap shot, like in sports or whatever. But you would see one team doing that against another team. You would never see the NFL, for instance, would do something like that. Oh, I appreciate that, Graphic God. You would never see the NFL put something out there like crybaby Tom Brady. Even though we may all feel that same way, or the majority of us may feel that way outside of New England, they would never do something like that. You're supposed to be an unbiased and universally astound reporting outlet. So what that means in English is, if you have any personal biases, you hold those to your op-eds and all that other stuff. But you don't continuously promote your premier satisfaction for one platform over the other. People across the board have to trust you. And like I said in my response to Destin, because I don't, and big ups to Graphic Art in the chat, where he's the one that I believe monikered the phrase IGN is the beginning of ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And yes, they are. I've got into it with Destin. Ryan has blocked me because of his fuckery. Excuse my French. I really don't want to get foul early in the morning, but because of his BS early in the earlier with your bar on Twitter, stuff like that, he's blocked me because they try to excuse their bias. Now, with that being said, Destin said, "Hey, look, I'm going to look into this." They looked into it. Ryan came out and apologized. Cool. And my response to Destin was, look, you got to understand the reason why there is ire or there is animosity and disdain for your outlet by a bunch of gamers. You know what I mean? Yeah, Doom said, it can't spell ignorant without IGN. You got to understand why there's ire, animosity towards your outlet, because you're letting your bias like just ooze through. And it's not about, and people want to argue and say, oh, there's no media bias and all that other stuff, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it's partially true. If the media is, look, Microsoft has been dealing with biased media since the beginning. We got to keep it real. A lot of these people out here in the community grew up on the PlayStation. It made gaming cool for them. This is all they know. You know what I'm saying? They can't fathom the fact that their favorite system of choice isn't on top. This is what they're used to. This is shaking up the world. And I don't care if you're young or old. Some people don't like change. So when Microsoft came on the scene, and then following that, Microsoft came on the scene and blew it out the water, that threw people in a lot of disarray. That threw a lot of people off. And and again, there's never going to be the same guard. Whoever's on top changing does not bother me, for the simple fact that I'm cut from a different cloth. I come from a generation where the people that were on top changed every 2 or 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I've been gaming since the ColecoVision era. I've been gaming since '84. I thought I'll tell you my age, no problem. You know? Yeah, exactly. You know. Man, hey yo. I just got something in my DMs from Graphic God, and it is hilarious. You gotta post that, bro. That is so true. You know, if the shoe was on the other foot, if IGN were releasing articles, time after time after time, last gen, talking about how it's pitiful that the more powerful core system can't stand up to the Xbox, you know, the 360. If they were doing that last gen, the world would crack, the real Kraken would come from the seas, and the world would split in two, and molten lava would shoot from the sky, not from the ground. No, what happened instead last generation? You had people like Ryan Geeds, formerly of IGN, say, oh, even though 360 is doing this thing and doing well, I can't play, I can't get a 360 because I can't play a Final Fantasy on it. What? And when asked why, he said, oh, because the PlayStation just reminds me of cool. So what's cool about the PlayStation last generation? The fact that they played the worst version of the multiplats, the fact that it was $600, the fact that they was going to have you use that core system for 2 generations, the fact that, you know what I'm saying, that 30 million people's accounts got hacked. Was that what was cool about the goddamn system? You know what I mean? Come on, we got to stop this. So there is media bias. With that being said, it is true that Microsoft has had to deal with media bias forever, and they've always been trucking through it. So using media bias as a reason why they're not doing well isn't acceptable to me as well. To me, hey, I love a challenge. You know what I'm saying? You challenge me, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And I believe the old guard, you know, the bombers or whatever, even though they may have been bleeding cash, they were out to prove the world wrong. You know, to where this regime feels like they're out to prove that they love the world. You know what I mean? And it's looking a little spooky out here. But with that being said, okay, so Graphic God said free thinkers are dangerous, bro. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't fit into the mold. It's not a binary choice for me. Meaning I'm disappointed at what Microsoft is doing as far as innovating gaming. Therefore, I must go to Sony. No, it doesn't work like that. I can sit there and say I don't prefer. This is not the Microsoft I signed up for. I still don't like Sony shit, you know, and I'm expecting more from the community altogether. So with that being said, let me talk about God of War and why I'm a little concerned. And a philosopher dude says, doesn't J2 Global own IGN? Maybe Microsoft should just buy them. Yeah. You know, fight fire with fire, man. This is a dirty game out here. And you can't bring a sport to a knife fight. That's what Microsoft is trying to do. They try to bring a sport and they're trying to eat with everybody and serve everybody. No. You gotta be ready to get down and dirty, man. It just is what it is. And once you've been on top for some time, then you can make changes. But what I saw last year is Microsoft was doing their thing. They were curb stomping Sony. And before the final ding hit, they jumped off guard and started focusing on this Kinect thing. And they don't know how to let things settle in jail. The Microsoft moves too fast for their own. Their feet moves too fast for their own bodies sometimes. And they got to know what they don't know, and they got to get better at that. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. Just hire me as a consultant. Just give me a couple dollars, and I'll rip and run through that whole goddamn organization and tell y'all what the hell is wrong. I got to do it for another company and get chump change for it. Anyway, all right. So back to me. So that's a whole different subject. Okay, so here's what I've seen with God of War so far. Okay, and mind you, again, I do not have the game, and I'm not bashing the game. I'm just speaking from what I can see what it is, what my expectations are, and when I do get a hold of the game, how I'm going to rate it. All right, so what I've seen so far is people are falling out the window for God of War, and I'm not. For instance, like I'm seeing reviews from people out here in the YouTube community that think that they're speaking out against something, and they're just riding this current wave that my boy Next Gen has created. You know what I'm saying? He created it, and now everybody just want to jump on the board, and I'm on board too. You know, as far as wanting Microsoft to do better, but you know, you ain't got to completely do what Next Gen is doing. Next Gen does his thing, like he said. Let him do his thing. He's in his own lane. You understand? Now, if you agree with him, you know, roll with it. But sometimes I think you guys misunderstand the angle that he's coming from, and therefore you take it to a whole nother level that don't make any sense. I'm out here seeing reviews. People are like a quarter of the way through the game, and they're saying this is the best game ever this gen. How? How are you doing that? You're a quarter of the way through the game. You could have been loaded up. I've seen plenty of games where you could have been loaded up with the best stuff and the rest of it is boring. I've seen the reverse. I've seen games like BioShock 2 that start off slow. In the middle of the game is just superb, and then it ends off a little, you know, it's a little unbalanced. I've seen games like that. But people are so eager to do this because, again, they want to ride this wave that they don't understand. And the reason why I'm not saying that the game ain't good because I don't know that yet, but to me, it's a real far reach to say that this thing is totally fucking awesome or it's the best thing ever when people haven't played through this game and are just going through the aesthetics. When you have people like myself, and we make up a large makeup of this community, we may not be the majority, but we make up a large makeup of this community, that you talk about the gameplay, but you don't talk about it in a gameplay enthusiast level. And what I mean by that is one that requires strategy and tactical approach, whether that tactical approach is swift or drawn out, to garner success. I don't give a fuck what the slashing and the hacking looks like at the end if I'm just slashing and hacking. At some point in time, those aesthetics are going to get boring to me. And it's about the gameplay and the game interaction. So when you guys sit there and say that the gameplay is awesome, you got to understand what gameplay really means. You don't know what it means. Gameplay is the interaction between you and the NPC or your enemy and the tactical sense or the strategy that you got to use. You know what I'm saying? How are those assets put together in the game to make it fun? Just pressing a button and watching something happen is not gameplay. That's part of the aesthetic appeal. But y'all mugs are too young to understand that. You know what I'm saying? Graphic art. They too young to understand this shit. My man Neverland in the chat said, totally fucking awesome. That seems to sum up God of War for me. Neverland, I'm going to get to you, bro. I'm going to get to you and your influences and why, not you particularly. You know what I'm saying? You are the mod of the year. But the people that fit under your hand, where y'all coming from? I peeped y'all. I see where y'all coming from. Just stay tight. Just hang tight. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for instance, when I talk about gameplay, games like BioShock, which I talk about all the time, requires you to utilize the element abilities that you have and the situations within each room that you encounter to conquer the various enemies. You know what I'm saying? Some enemies may be weak, but if there's 100 of them, you know what I mean? They can mess you up, but they may be standing in water. So you got to use the electrical element. You know what I'm saying? Or the room may be tight. You may not be able to see. You know what I'm saying? So you got to flame them up so you can see the whole room. You know what I'm saying? You got to use the elements and the tactical sense around you to conquer the challenge. And from what I've seen from the gameplay, my man Nora was playing it. I've seen other people reviewing it, playing it. From what I've seen so far, there is repetitive slashing and rolling. And that's reminiscent of what I've had to deal with Horizon Zero Dawn. But using terms, rather, let me say this. That gameplay is not innovative. That gameplay is nothing stellar. It may be okay. It could possibly be satisfying to a degree, or okay or good. But if you're trying to sell this chicken dinner that it is the best ever, and the gameplay, again, the true definition of gameplay is mediocre or okay or decent, then it is not the best ever. Top Dog says, you've totally forgot how to have fun in a video game. No, I have not. The definition of fun can be subjective depending upon what you're looking for. It could be fun for people to see aesthetically pleasing stuff. That's not fun for me. What's fun for me is having challenge. It gets my adrenaline pumping. It gets my blood pumping when I got a challenge and I overcome the challenge. Or it gets my blood pumping when I got a challenge and I may succumb to that challenge. But I'm like, look, I got to rethink this. I got to try this again. That's what gaming was about. You may have forgot, Top Dog. You my mans, but you may have forgot. Because that's what games were built on. They weren't built on these aesthetics and the storytelling shit. They were built on that. But like I said, even though the gameplay mechanics may be repetitive and they may be okay or good at best, that's okay. My problem is using terms like the best this or the best that. We want to do that all the flipping time. Stop. Understand that the community as a whole focuses on other things. Just because y'all focused on aesthetics, that's you. That's great. But when you use terms like the best this and 10 out of 10, that's what concerns me, because terms like that give the appearance that it is universally awesome. And it's not like that. Mass Effect is considered universally awesome to people that like aesthetically pleasing stuff and people that are gameplay buffs like myself. BioShock is universally awesome to people that like aesthetics and to people that like that are gameplay buffs. You can use stuff like that for games like that. But a game that is aesthetically pleasing and it hits high marks in a certain area, but is, okay in another area, those other areas don't fill in the hole. It's not like, see, I get y'all mugs is young. Y'all in this whole T-Mobile, AT&T cellular era where if you don't use up your minutes this month, it just adds additional minutes next month. No, that's not how it works. If the aesthetically pleasing stuff is a 10 out of 10, you can't sit there and make it a 15 out of 10 and those extra 5 points go to the gameplay. So therefore it fills in the gap for the gameplay. No, it don't work like that. Thomas Franks in the chat. What's up, bro? My man Thomas Franks. Philosopher Doom says, but they're not trying to sell you on gameplay. They're trying to sell you on the cinematic experience. I was waiting for a Rotten Tomatoes review. And that's the deal. But community, I understand. Look, I understand my Neverlands, my top dogs. I'm not mad at y'all for saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all giving y'all personal opinion. Y'all within the community, but you're not content creators. Not saying that we're better. We're definitely not better. We're not doing anything special. We're just plugging in mics and stuff like that. We're nobody special. But I can understand why how individuals in the community can say stuff like that. But if you are in the community providing content, you have a responsibility with the terminology that you use. Playing a quarter of the game, you do not have the legitimate right to say it is the best ever. You don't know what the rest is out there. You're being irresponsible to me. For the simple fact that there are people that are, I don't agree with this because particularly I'm a content creator and I've been judging video games for a decent amount of time and giving my own analysis on it. So I don't listen to nobody else. I may be interested to hear what they have to say to understand what angle they're coming from, but I don't listen to anybody else. But there are people that have busy lives that listen to these reviews and they hang up on your words. And when you use irresponsible terms like this is the best ever, you can't say that when you've played a quarter of the game. You can't do that. That's irresponsible. If you're excited, great. But by now, as a content creator or whatever you're a content creator, curb your enthusiasm. Go through the whole title, then review it. When I couldn't review a whole game, I used to do this thing called diary reviews. Meaning, I'm just giving my synopsis of what I played so far. And I would say, so far, man, I'm very impressed with this game. It's hitting on all high cylinders. Right now, it looks so good. I could give you a recommendation that I do think it's worth buying. That's responsible. Because I don't know what the rest of the game is like. The rest of the game can fall short. Oh my goodness, man. What is going on out here? And again, I'm not saying this on the merits of God of War. God of War could be a good game, could be a great game. I don't see 10 out of 10s or the best effing ever. But even if I did, out of the little bit that I seen, you cannot be a content provider or content creator and say this is the best effing game ever. It's irresponsible to me. But yet y'all want to jump at me because I don't take a little taste of something. I'm like, oh shit, this is the best cookie ever. I gotta eat the whole damn cookie to see if there's an aftertaste or something. Put too much baking soda in the mix. I don't know. Stop. Jeez. So I need I need people to understand. These titles serve a slither of the community, but they are not universally adored. Because there are people out there that game for reasons beyond the story. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody, and they told me, I will take a banging story over decent gameplay any day. And that blew my mind. But it brought me into reality of where I'm at. It just blew my mind. So understand, now I understand there are people like that. But even though there are people like that, everybody's not like that. You know what I mean? Everybody's not like that. There are people that put gameplay above, you know what I'm saying? Where we should be a unique, diverse community, and we should respect our diversity. But when we use terms like 10 out of 10 and best ever, we got to understand the impact and the power that those words mean and what they implement. Yeah, Doom. Yeah. I will take a banging story over decent gameplay any day. Watch, like you said, watch a movie then. I'm fearful of where my community is going to, man. So, with that being said, I want to transition to what the motivation is for all this in a lot of ways. There are a lot of fanboys out here that just want to hate on the Xbox because they're fanboys. And this is their best way to kick Microsoft in the teeth. Not saying that Microsoft ain't been doing a good job of doing it themselves by not bringing the content that we Xbox gamers are used to. But these fanboys want to finish the job. Look, let's keep it real, because this is something we have short-term memory. We're of the smartest people on this planet. We suffer from a lot of dumb shit. Let's be real. They're still mad, these fanboys, that the 360 curb stomped the PS3. These motherfuckers are rabid. They will say shit to you like, from last gen, after the PS3 was at a $600, they were being told that the core of the system was going to last you 2 generations. So all this fidelity that you're seeing in God of War, you wouldn't even seen it if the PS3 was successful, because that core system was going to last you 2 generations to save them money. After having the network hacked due to incompetent firmware rollout and piss poor security, and an inferior version of the multiplats the entire generation, you charging developers and publishers bandwidth that they were going to have to pass on to the consumer, and more. This is just stuff that I forgot. You're trying to tell me after all that, the PlayStation system can bounce back from that with having less money than the Microsoft Corporation. But because Microsoft does not have the content that its consumer base really wants this generation, there's no way they can come back. Microsoft is dead. Really? Really? Top Dog in the chat says, there's over 1,800 games on PlayStation 4 and you're crying about what? I'm not crying. No, this is my thing. I'm not crying about God of War. I don't know enough about the game to judge it on its merits. But that's my point. Nobody, well, I don't want to say nobody. A lot of these people that are talking about this game are falling to the same boat. They're out here saying this is the best ever, this, that. I'm not talking about the reviews. I'm talking about people in the YouTube community. I wake up to the shit and then they said, yeah, I've did a few hours with this and that. But how? Is it the best ever? You only went through 25% of the content. There's still 75% of the content to go through. You're misleading buyers. That's a problem for me. So again, back to what I said. You had Sony go through all that. They had less resources at hand. They were able to bounce back and outsmart Microsoft this generation. They can do it, but Microsoft is dead. There's people that want them dead. They just want, because again, they grew up knowing that Sony was on top. And Sony not being on top last generation really shook up their world. And they don't know how to deal with it. And they're still angry about it. I mean, that is the highest of hyperbole to me. I mean, these are the same cats that come to E3 with championship belts and and raise championship belts because their console of choice had a better showcase showing than the other one. But nobody showed any true innovation. They really didn't. They just showed you that you was going to get prettier games. They are proud of that lackluster innovation across the board. Again, just because their platform is winning. And they'll never fight Sony on anything. They'll just read the, come on, Sony, do better. Come on, man. Buy the PlayStation 3. Come on. That's all y'all did. I, on the other hand, someone that is an enthusiast. That don't stick my flag with anybody just because of a name. I fought Microsoft. I've told y'all before in co-op. I had a group called the New Age Faction. You can look us up right now and see our bullshit ass webpage where we were fighting. You know, we did gaming news and stuff like that. But we were fighting Microsoft on co-op. And then when they finally dropped Gears of War and Crackdown and we saw that the influence that it was having on the community, we disbanded. I fight Microsoft on, I remember they were dropping the ball the year that Uncharted 2 was revealed at E3. And I looked at Uncharted 2 and I was like, man, this might be the greatest game ever made. And Microsoft really ain't dropping that. It's like they're complacent because when I was starting to see the signs and the revelations of this whole Kinect era starting around that time. And I was like, and then I was getting on Microsoft's ass. Like, if y'all don't get y'all shit together and this Uncharted 2 looks to be the way that it is, it's going to spell doom for y'all. It's not too late this generation. And Uncharted 2 ended up not being the greatest game ever. It was a decent game. It was a good, I think I scored it an 86 or an 89, but it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. So, they were able to skid past that. But I fought them hard on that. And then lastly, I fought them hard on Kinect. And that was just last gen. And now I'm fighting them on their, you know what I'm saying? You always got to ask for better. You're not getting paid by these companies. Being complacent because your buying decision is liked by other people, that's shallow to me. That means that your parents didn't kiss you on the forehead and read you bedtime stories. Y'all like it that much? Y'all need a big brother? Just call me. Damn. I don't need a bunch of people to like my system of choice in order for me to pound my chest and just say that's it and not ask for more innovation. I couldn't be, and that's why I can't be complacent. I wouldn't be complacent as a Sony dude because this third person over the shoulder stuff ain't it for me. And I'm an RPG buff, but the RPGs, the vast majority of them, I haven't played Persona 5. And they're probably saying, well, you can't talk if you ain't played Persona 5. And you might be right. Because Persona 5 is the most glorified one this generation. But the Wise and the Star Oceans, I played a lot of these RPGs, and they've been brought over at the time where they were like going to be ported to mobile, and they don't feel innovative at all. So I'm disappointed in the RPGs. Now, again, I haven't played Persona 5, so I can't talk about all of them. But, I couldn't be complacent. The best describe the Sony situation to me is Sony reminds me of Golden Corral. And I've used this analogy before. Sony reminds me of Golden Corral where they have like 8 or 9 choices out there and they visually look good. Like, well, I'm going to eat this shit up. But when you put it on your plate, you just realize they all smell like cabbage. Where I'm a Ruth Chris House steak type motherfucker. I want a nice juicy steak. I want quality. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta have 50 versions of something that smell like cabbage. Just because I don't just need variety just for the sake of variety. You know what I mean? I need quality. I need something, you know what I'm saying? I need something a little bit more. I need something a little bit beefier. The problem is, as a Ruth Chris House steak type motherfucker, I'm sitting there looking, let's just say if Golden Corral's next door. I'm sitting there looking, I mean, not me. I understand people are sitting there looking next door and they're like, well, shit, I'm hungry, man. I got to get something. Man, this is getting ridiculous. It's been 3 hours and these mugs ain't brought the steak out yet. I'm about to go take my tray in there. I get that. And that's where next gen is coming from. I don't think y'all understand that. Next gen is coming from, look, I've been an Xbox dude for a particular reason. Y'all have had this type of stuff on PlayStation for a while. I'm an Xbox dude, but y'all ain't feed me. And I'm looking across the street and I'm seeing motherfuckers chowing down. Yo, look, I'm going to go eat over there. And you can't blame me. But that does not mean that because my steak ain't coming out, that the answer is for the chefs to go to the Golden Corral, scoop up that shit and bring it over to Ruth Chris Steakhouse or Ruth Chris Steakhouse. That's not the answer. The answer is to go back in the goddamn kitchen, start banging some heads in that kitchen and tell these chefs to bring out my goddamn steak. That's the answer. And that's what we're doing. So to me, that's why it's not a binary choice to sit there and say, Microsoft ain't killing it, so therefore Sony is the answer. That would be like somebody that got themselves dressed up ready to drop a couple hundred on a quality meal. Them not getting their quality meal. And just because somebody's frying something up next door, they say, okay, well, bring that food in here. No. The answer is to go back in that kitchen, bang some goddamn heads, and get them to do what they're doing. And that's what the hell I'm doing. I'm banging some goddamn heads in the kitchen because these mugs are sitting there doing crossword puzzles in the kitchen, calling they peoples in Argentina. They just laxing. They're not on the stove. They're not controlling the flames and getting me my food. So I got to go in there and bang some goddamn heads, and that's what we doing. So you Microsoft cats, man, y'all got to understand that's the answer. Y'all falling for this bait. Y'all misinterpreting what is being said out here as far as what is lackluster on Microsoft. Y'all taking it to a whole different level. And y'all jumping out the window because God of War, regardless of what there's a lot of things I can't say about God of War yet because I haven't played it. But what I can say is that by all looks and appearances, it is red meat for its base. And kudos to Sony for that. Because you cannot make moves unless you feed your base. Your base is at the staple of the mind share that you get with the community. Again, how it works is you feed your base. Your base does a lot of free publicity for you because your base can be everywhere. They could be workers in GameStop. They can be in a store. They could be online, whatever. They're doing that non-profit work for you for free. And they're the best people to get the word out and the enthusiasm out. And when the casuals see all the people hooping and hollering, they're like, hey, what's going on over there? I want to be with them. And they want to pose like they're, part of the hardcore. Oh, yeah, there's all these games for the PlayStation and all this other stuff, but they don't play them games. All they play is their Maddens, their Lives, and their Call of Duties. But they want to be hooting and hollering with you. That's how casuals are. You know what I mean? Let me roll back a little bit here. Get to this chat. So Top Dog says, I guess Microsoft doesn't have Master Chiefs. Okay, you guys are talking about, I guess, the differences in games here. General So Gaming. Y'all cutting up in here. Dude, cutting up in here, bro. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you got to give credit where credit is due. And that's how I can come down the middle on this. It's not a binary choice. I can give Sony credit and say, even though I may not care for this stuff, they are giving the red meat to their people because they're understanding the game. Microsoft has fallen off. They got rigged. Top Dog. I remember it now, Top Dog. Red Cliff. They caught. Go watch the first Red Cliff if you don't understand what I'm talking about. You had two Asian fleets. I don't know if they were both Chinese. It was set hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Is the premise of the story. You had one Asian fleet that was bigger and just bigger in scale than the other Asian fleet. That Asian fleet represents Microsoft. They tried to bulldoze and power the smaller Asian fleet, which represents Sony. To me, this generation. At the beginning of this generation. And the smaller fleet outsmarted them in so many ways. Every time the bigger fleet tried to adjust to what the smaller fleet was doing, they had changed the game. And that's what Sony did. And kudos to them for that. My concern is with the fact that you got people out here that are upset about that Microsoft fell off. And didn't keep their eye on the ball, and they've been playing catch up. And even though they're bigger and they got more resources disposable to them, that they're playing catch up to a company that Next Gen says all the time was fighting to keep its lights on not too long ago. I understand that's upsetting, but what I don't want the message to be, because you got to understand that there is a new regime here. This regime does not relate to the old guard. The old guard's problem is that they were bleeding money and maybe they weren't that media friendly, okay? But they understood the Xbox brand and what made it, what pumped blood into the brand. This new regime does not understand that. So if in your last back you're telling them the answer is what Sony's doing, the answer is what Sony's doing, the answer is what Sony's doing. They're going to take that literally. And they're going to start bringing you Horizon Zero Dawns. And I don't want that. Because Horizon Zero Dawn is trash. Microsoft needs to go back in its bag and pull out its tricks and quote-unquote ponies, for no pun intended. You know what I'm saying? They need to do and pull out the side. Look, I mentioned this in another podcast. It is called product placement. Microsoft is falling short of the product placement. That's where Sony is hitting it on all cylinders. It may not be the end content to me, but they're hitting it on all cylinders as far as product placement. What I mean by that is Sony understands that its consumer base loves the third person, over the shoulder, cinematic, interactive movies. That's what their people like. Sprinkled with a little bit of intense gameplay here and there. You know what I'm saying? That's what their people like. That's why all their first parties look like that. That's why God of War of all games now looks like that. Horizon Zero Dawn, their new franchise, looks like that. They hit pay dirt with what Naughty Dog created, and they're going to make everything like that. And that's the red meat for their people. I'm not mad at them about that. What Microsoft got to understand is their product placement. Their product placement is sci-fi shooters with legs. That's what people, or it doesn't necessarily have to be shooters, but sci-fi video games with legs. From your Halos, you know what I'm saying? And your Gears of Wars, and your Knights of the Old Republics, and all other stuff. And they got to have legs to it. Meaning, they can't be the quote-unquote one-and-done games. They got to have a replay factor to them, whether it's the multiplayer or whether the game is just large in general. You know what I'm saying? The reason why games like BioShock and Mass Effect worked for Microsoft as timed exclusives, and when BioShock in particular ported over to Sony finally, it didn't sell well for a very long time. It wasn't until Infinite, the game that was released simultaneously on both, that was doing some numbers. But BioShock is a game that has a lot of replayability to it. So that's why that did well. Microsoft didn't understand its product placement this generation, and they brought you games that did not fit that mold. Now you may say, well, Quantum Break is a sci-fi game. Yes, but it does not have legs. It didn't have that replayability. So let me go back to the chat. God of War, Doom says, God of War looks dope, all due respect, but I like replayability. I'm not the gamer to play the same game over and over again. It's a path for me. Yeah. On that. And this is my problem with Sony games. It's like after BioShock and Mass Effect came out, every game ain't got to be an action RPG. But this one is advertising itself as one. So the gameplay needs to be smarter. Sony's gameplay does not get smarter. And in an era where you've already had smart gameplay out there for an action RPG, I'm looking for more than you just throwing an axe and rolling in order for you to be a 10. It can still be a good game. You know, I like games like, what was that? Kingdom Under Fire, Circle of Doom. That was a hack and slash, and it was an action RPG, and it wasn't much to the combat, but it was still fun. But that's not a 10. It got to grow. You had a game again that came out in 2009 that played smarter than a game in 2018. It can't be a 10. The industry has to grow. Innovation has to grow. That's all I'm saying. Not saying it's not a good game, but with that being said, even at that, a game like Resident Evil, was it 4? I can't remember, with 4 or 5, where it was set, a lot of it was set in water and stuff like that. No, I think it was 5. Resident Evil 5. Even though it was a single player game and it didn't have a multiplayer, it had a smart mechanic for replayability. You couldn't get all of the weapons and all of the stuff that you would want unless you played the levels multiple times. And it had a point system too, as far as giving you cash to access those weapons. So you could beat level 2, and instead of just immediately going to level 3, you would be heavily influenced to play. Let's play 2 again. I got X amount of gems, and if I get one more gem, there was like 2 of the red gems that I need to unlock this gun. So let's play that again so I can get that gem again. That was smart. That's a smart way for single player games to have legs even without a multiplayer. Now, whether you like the game or not, I love Resident Evil 5. That's me. I love action-based games, and it required a lot of smarts and tactical sense, and that's what I like. But even if you didn't like the game, that setup is very smart. Why can't Sony implement that into a single-player game to give it legs? I beat Uncharted 4. Why? Why would I play it again? You guys beat this God of War. Why? Why would you play it again? Sony has to get smarter about its gameplay and its replayability. Uncharted, fun fact, Uncharted 4. I'm holding it in my hands right now. Y'all can't see it because I'm too pretty for the goddamn camera. Uncharted 4, I'm shaking it, is the highest rated game that after 12 months had the lowest resale value. You have never had a game ranked like 92 or above, I believe it was, unless it was a sports game. That's the caveat. Unless it was a sports game. That its resellability was low as Uncharted 4. Now, why was Uncharted 4's resellability so low? That's because it sold at a 20% attach rate. I believe it was at the time. Or close to 20%. No, it may have been somewhat over 10. I think it was 15%. Uncharted 4 sold at a 15% attach rate. So there were a lot of Uncharted 4s out there. But as soon as people beat them, they had no reason for them. So they just tossed the shit back. So the gaming community was oversaturated with Uncharted 4s. So you go to get Uncharted 4, you trade it in. Now you go to a GameStop, you be like, oh, I can only get $3 for this. Oh man, GameStop, y'all rip con artists. But you go anywhere else, your best bet, at least domestically in the States, you're getting $4 for it. That's 12 months within its release, and it was released at a 92 or above, I believe it was. You've never had that before. Sony just got to get smarter at how it approaches its gameplay. And until they do that, you can't sit there and say, "Oh, this is the greatest ever." No, you don't hit greatest ever levels until you have a broad reach of gamers. The majority of gamers out here look for aesthetically pleasing. I get that. Because they're the most vocal. They look for aesthetically pleasing, and they look for game. They look for aesthetically pleasing. They look for story. However, when you give something a 10, it has to have broad appeal against those people that focus on gameplay or whatever, or focus on other things. They gotta have that. Let me go back to the chat. Brother, I just stated I'm not trying to play the same story again and again. Philosopher Doom. Microsoft wants you to play Fisher-Price game in Neverland. Top Dog says, plenty of multi-plat games to choose from. Yeah, there are multiplats out there, but it's the first generation games that drive the gaming industry forward. When you think about the games that did it, that drive the industry forward as far as innovation, they're always the exclusives, because the exclusives usually have, and it's second party exclusives to say that. It's second party exclusives. Like, to me, the thing that would sell me on a PlayStation the most are its second party games. Like, I'm looking more forward into Spider-Man than I am into God of War, because I like Sucker Punch. I'm not saying I don't like Naughty Dog. Well, no, this is Santa Monica. My bad. But damn, they feel so similar shit. They all the same now. But the second party developers have their funding and their own mindset. And then you have the publisher, which is the console maker, that has their funding and their mindset. And when they converge the two, it leads to a lot of innovation. So it's a lot of these second party, you know what I'm saying, opposed to where if it's third party, it's just their money and their mindset, or if it's first party, it's just a console maker and their mindset. You know what you feel where I'm coming from, Top Dog? When you have second party collaborations, you have the the financial backing and the mindsets of both resources, and it leads to a lot of innovation. So when you have games that are that feature that collaboration, those are the games that move the genre forward. Again, Mass Effect, BioShock, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Top Dog said, what you see is all you're going to get on the game industry run by what the casuals want. And that is true. At most, the only thing I can say, you should just retire from gaming. You'll never be satisfied. That's not true. If I could, hey, look, they gave me that steak last generation. It can happen again. I believe Microsoft can do it again. I believe Sony can do it. Like, Sony is there. They are so close. Like, Uncharted 4 was so disappointing to me because I've played the series and I beat them, and that's the most dedicated series that I've. Those are one of the series that I've been the most dedicated to as soon as they come out. I can't say that for no Microsoft exclusive. As soon as Uncharted comes out, I grab it and I beat it. 4 took me a while because I didn't have a PlayStation 4 for a while, but so that is the game that I've been purely the most dedicated to. And for this to be the finale to the series, I'm holding it again, I'm shaking it. For this to be the finale to the series, it was hellified disappointment to me. It was click and watch. Oh, man. Dude, just dropping the gem. That's why I had to decide. Skyrim is one of my personal GOAT games. Expansive environment, great story, engagement, gameplay, high replayability. That's why I love Bethesda. God damn. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Since 2018, Bethesda had already dropped the blueprint. You're supposed to innovate from that in order to be considered the GOAT. If you're not trying to innovate from what has already been universally great, then you're trying to hit a slither. It may be a big slither, but don't be out here seeing a quarter of this gameplay talking about it's the best ever. I'm not sipping that sauce. I don't know what the hell wrong with y'all out here. Y'all got to grow, man. So Top Dog, I get where you're coming from, bro. It's not looking great, but it wasn't too long ago that it was. So I'm gonna be optimistic. Now, getting into this, and where Top Dog may be right, and I just may be the old fool shaking my fist at the window, not knowing no better. You got to think about it. These games are taking way more money and resources to make. People, that's why the multiplats, even though they're good, games like Far Cry 5 and stuff are good. Really, the most innovative game that we've seen this generation was Witcher 3. And don't get me wrong, I love Bethesda, but Fallout 4 was Fallout 3. A little bit bigger, with Minecraft elements in it. I hate Skyrim. It looks like a last-gen PC game. Bro, well, here's what you need to do. You get it on PC. You get that res upgrade mod. You know what I'm saying? Or you get the enhanced version. And you do it up that way. Skyrim is a phenomenal game. Phenomenal. Man. I gotta read that again. I'm not deleting this chat. Skyrim is one of my personal GOAT games. Expansive environment, great story, engagement, gameplay, and high replayability. That's why I love Bethesda. God damn. So, I have to calm myself down, man. Oh, man, I'm fanning myself with my Uncharted 4 that's only worth $3 since 12 months after its release. Woo! All right, with that being said, you MF dudes, man, y'all falling for the bait. Y'all want to be Xbox people. If y'all think this much about Sony games, what the hell? I think y'all fake. I think y'all frauding. You got a lot of motherfuckers out here saying, oh, yeah, Xbox is my preferred console. And even though Microsoft ain't bringing it the way that they should be bringing it, you're praising Sony and saying that they got the greatness and all this other stuff. I think y'all frauding. What is it that, I want to know, what is it that brought you to Microsoft? I wish I could line them all up right now and ask them, but now I'm gonna give them some time if they catch one of this. What is it that brought you to Microsoft? Why are you stating that Microsoft is your preferred console? Because a lot of y'all out here frauding and y'all ponies. This is just y'all give. Because I hear people saying that they like games that are of the PlayStation ecosystem. They love this game that are trash. I'm sorry, and I know I was just arguing that things are subjective, but I've heard people naming games that have, oh man, one of my favorite games of all time is this and that, and it's a PlayStation ecosystem game that's garbage. And I'm like, whoa, what? You know what I mean? A lot of people's frauding out here. But for the true motherfuckers, y'all falling for the bait. Stop asking for Sony shit to come to our system. If you like their shit, then buy their system. In other words, what you need to do is demand Microsoft to just make the staple of their rollout of their stuff that brought us here in the first place. Make sure that you explain to them that it needs to be the games for the core. Now, like I said, if you go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse and it just happens to be next to a Golden Corral, the answer isn't to say, oh, well, they're not bringing out my steak in enough time, so go across to Golden Corral and grab some shit out of their pants. No! You go back in that kitchen, you go bust some heads up, and you tell what the fuck is y'all doing back here, man? Put down that goddamn newspaper. Stop calling your peoples in Argentina. You better cook that goddamn steak. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't go to Golden Corral where everything smells like onions and cabbage, even the shrimp, and bring that over to Ruth Chris Steakhouse? No. So if you like what Sony's doing, then go get Sony shit. Because the problem is going to be if y'all sit there and say to Microsoft, look what Sony's doing, look what Sony's doing, look what Sony's doing. You're going to get Sony shit. And then you're going to have two boxes that operate the same. Let's just say Satya just gets up one day and says, you know what? Well, the answer is Sony. They already got the blueprint. Let's buy these motherfuckers. Let's buy Santa Monica. Let's buy Santa Monica. You know, then you're going to have two similar boxes. No. Halo was like nothing that you would see on the PlayStation. Knights of the Old Republic was like nothing you would see on the PlayStation. Okay? Jade Empire was like nothing you would see on the PlayStation. All right? Perfect Dark was like nothing you would see on the PlayStation. Gears of War was like nothing you would see on the PlayStation. Mass Effect, when it was time, was like nothing you would see on the PlayStation. BioShock was like nothing you would see on the PlayStation. Do you understand where I'm coming from here? So how can you see the success that they've had with those games and say the answer is for you to go repeat what they're doing? They've had success going the other way, going in a different direction. I need y'all to wake up out here. Because at the end of the day, these gaming companies in this community can only do to us what we let them do. Y'all out here fighting this war over loot boxes. Y'all don't understand y'all power. Y'all done got these mugs to consider loot boxes gambling in certain territories. We can change this shit. We can change this. We don't have to succumb to this assembly factory mind state. That goes for Microsoft and PlayStation people. It goes beyond you, someone reinforcing your purchasing choice. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that, bro. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to reach through. They don't come from our lineage, man. That's what the problem is. Once you pound your chest, let's just say if Microsoft goes away, Microsoft, boom, they're done. You still got your God of War, You still got your Uncharted. You still got your Last of Us. You still got your Days Gone. I forgot about that. You still got all this first party stuff that looks and plays the same. The only thing you got to stand on is the fact that you're getting more accolades from the puke pundits. And they've already shown, they've already shown their class with their Facebook post from yesterday. What does that mean at the end of the day? Bro, Top Dog, you were not seeing the... Okay, let me read Top Dog's comment. He says, Most, you have no idea what you're talking about. PlayStation 2 had over 4,000 games. Half of them never came to the U.S. Let me explain something to you, bro. I don't know what generation. I think you come from my genre. Bro, I've been importing games since the 80s. I've played Genesis game, all types of games that people will never see. We had to take the case off the game in order to plug it into the Genesis if it was a Japanese import. So trust me, I've even partially ran a business. This is new. I partially ran a business where I was working with somebody and we were getting imports and we were trying to do them at a cheaper price, but we got ourselves a little bit in trouble. We had to stop that. You know what I'm saying? Customs like, whoa. Bruh, I understand what's out there. And of the 4,000, I don't know the accuracy of that number, but I'm going to take you at your word for it. Of those 4,000 games that didn't come here, those are Japanese design games. In that era, was it Kojima? I think Kojima came out and said that even during the PlayStation 2 era, that the Japanese development could not think outside of a box. Like all of their games fit a certain stigma. So with that being said, you were not seeing Oblivions, Skyrims, Knights of the Old Republics. You weren't seeing games like that coming out of Japan. And you were not seeing games like that. And let's take your idea. Even if you were, the fact that they never came to the States says a lot. Because who decides if they come to the States, Top Dog? Sony does. So the fact that Sony was not presenting those games, let's just say if they were present, the fact that they were not presenting those games to its public in the continental United States or in London or Europe, or, wherever you're at, says a lot of what taste they were catering to. What's up, Bert? So you just proved my point. It don't matter what was over there. If it wasn't accessible to us here in the continental United States or Europe, then Sony made that decision and said, hey, this is what we want to present to our consumer base. And Microsoft said, hey, here's what we want to present to our consumer base. Absolutely. Most of the games you're talking about was PC games. And for people that could not access a PC at the time, Microsoft was working to bring those PC-esque games. I've always say that term, Top Dog. PC-esque games to the console and make them playable and durable on the console. That's what I like about Microsoft. Or that's what I liked about the old regime. That's what they were working at. It's bringing those innovative games to the console. Expanding our mind and our access to what we have on the console. I like that. BioShock was originally a game that was just going to go to the PC. Ken Levine said himself, it was the interaction of Bomber and Bill Gates. The interaction of Bomber and Bill Gates that helped bring that to the console. Nothing, no Sony's interaction whatsoever. They were not interested. Graphic God says, and now all of their games fit this formula. Third person over the shoulder, child, NPC, Snowy Woods. Yes! Even if Microsoft does go away, let's just say if the pony's wishes come true, they rub the genie lamp and the genie grants their wish, Microsoft goes away, then that's what y'all got to deal with. Third person over the shoulder, child, NPC, Snowy Woods. This is bigger than just pounding your chest and saying my console of choice is winning at some numbers that you ain't never going to benefit from. We're talking about the state of gaming. And when you use, and there's nothing, again, there's nothing wrong with liking God of War. There's nothing wrong with liking God of War a lot. But when you use universally understood terms like God of War, is just a no-brainer for everybody. It is the greatest effing thing ever. And from what I've seen, and from what I saw in the leaks of gameplay that was apparently put together to impress somebody, and lastly, for the simple fact that a lot of these people saying this shit have only played a quarter of this game, that's a problem to me. Top Dog says most Americans didn't like or cared about PC games. Most of them didn't know what the PC had to offer, and all they saw was keyboard and mouse. Because as console gamers, we were ignorant to that. But once Microsoft did its thing and said, "Oh, we got to bring these type of games to the console, they'll eat this shit up," they were right. And look how successful it's been for them. Microsoft people, yes. It's like I said earlier. They cannot play Sony's game and keep getting beat to the punch like the movie Red Cliff. They must innovate on their own grounds. But they have to do it in a way that keeps their core engaged to help with mind share. And the answer, again, I'm going to say this before I roll. Yeah, Jay's out here preaching. No, you preaching, bro. I watched the gameplay and the user hit 2 buttons in 30 minutes. Look, I was watching my man Noah. Big ups to my man Noah, Triple B, Broadband Bullies. He played this one boss fight. I don't want to spoil it. And basically all the guy did was jump in the air and hit this like attack that would hit the air. So he would roll. And he had to throw his axe at him. And then he would block the punch. And then after he blocked the punch, he would be stunned. And then he could do the melee attack. That didn't do it. That didn't excite me. That didn't 10 out of 10 excite me. And they're sitting there to, oh man, this is fat. This looks so great. This is great. No. You see what I'm saying? So when you're saying stuff like that, if you're saying this is great, and to me, it's not moving me, then this is starting to give me an idea of what I'm going to get into. But that's here nor there. Again, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to keep an open mind. I just thought that was interesting. I got up, saw these notifications on my phone. God of War is a great, and first I was thinking, damn, y'all beat this motherfucker in one day? And here they're like, well, yeah, I'm about 3 hours in, and this is the greatest game ever. Stop. Just stop. No. If this was Little Junior after eating his PBJ, and he got on YouTube, turned on Dad's camera, and made a video, yeah, little 8-year-old Joey, then fine. But you grown-ass adult YouTubers that provide content, if not daily, on a regular basis, y'all know better than this. Stop with the foolery. Excuse my French. Stop with the fuckery. You have a greater responsibility than that. That goes for a Sony game. That goes for a Microsoft game. You are not, curb your enthusiasm and show your appreciation for the people that are listening to you that need a true beginning to end scope of what they're actually getting into. Top Dog says, last time I checked, there's a lot more first-person shooter games than over-the-shoulder games. And that is true. And that is something that we got to innovate on. There's a lot of, FPS is the way. What I'm saying is that Sony's claim to fame is one particular formula. If you can name 3 things that are similar in every game, I'm going to go, these aren't my words. I'm going to go back to Graphic God. All of their games fit this formula. Third person, over the shoulder, child NPC, snowy woods. They're very creative. It's not about the games in totality. It's about Sony just picking to one niche to do their first person games. The first party games, excuse me. I'm sorry. I need Sony to think outside the box. Damn. Jay, me and you got to do it. We got to do a podcast or something together. We got to do. We just got to. Even if it's a special, we got to do something together. Graphic God says if games are getting a 10 out of a 10 for a good story, then Quantum Break needs a 10 out of a 10. It's case closed. Case closed. Case closed. Why doesn't it get a 10 out of a 10? Because it's a Microsoft game and it was, what, 720p. Now, I like Quantum Break. I really do. I love the developer. I don't think it was a 10 out of 10. If people were screaming, Quantum Break is a 10 out of 10, I would say, look, y'all jumping out the window. I like Quantum Break or whatever, but y'all kind of jump. And I thought the gameplay was engaging. It looks more engaging than what I'm seeing in God of War, but I would still think calling it because it's not really innovative. There's nothing in the game that's innovative, but it's a hellified game. I think the Philosopher Doom says, I think when we speak, these executives should be very specific with our wording. Don't want MS to think exactly. Don't want MS to think that we want an exact God of War. We're smarter than that gameplay. Absolutely. We're a different breed. People came to the Xbox for totally different reasons. I have nothing wrong with why people like PlayStation. You love your interactive movie-based games. We came to Xbox for a different reason. We need Xbox to produce. Again, the Ruth Chris Steakhouse scenario is the best way I can describe this. I am not sitting in Ruth Chris Steakhouse and I'm not going to wait 3 hours for my steak. That's unacceptable. However, if the restaurant happens to be next door to a Golden Corral, the answer neither is for y'all to go to a bucket and scoop some shit out of Golden Corral and bring it over to me. No, we need to go in the kitchen, bang some heads. What the fuck is y'all doing? Put down the Rubik's Cube. Hey, yo, Johnny, stop, get off with Argentina. Put down that crossword puzzle. Felipe, get back here and cut this goddamn steak up. That's the answer. Not going next door and getting their shit. My man Disinfect Anime, new to the family, says you're laughable at best. Man, I try to entertain, baby. I'm glad I'm causing laughter. I want to cause laughter, tears and crying. Hey, y'all PlayStation cats, y'all so emotional. Y'all should be loving this. I'm trying to hit all arenas, but no, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the follow, man. I appreciate it. A lot more multiplats to choose from, Top Dog says. Have a blessed day, sir. Disinfect Anime, dang, man. You ain't hardly give me no love, man. We'll call the podcast Old Fuckers Gaming, yes. OFG. If y'all want to see OFG, let us know. We'll drop something. Yes, Graphic God said we came to Xbox to game, not watch. Absolutely. Top Dog right under that says, hashtag sell your Xbox. I love it, man. I love it. Oh, man. Top Dog saying, anyone praising Rise must be related to El Mega. Oh, man. I love it. All right, guys. Well, I think I've babbled on enough. I was supposed to get my behind in the shower and go get my coffee and do some stuff around the house. I'm going straight pony for the next week. That's the challenge I have for myself. I want to see if I go into spastic shock. So I will be playing some more of The Last of Us. And I might have Persona coming too. I got a favor out to a friend of mine. I think I got Persona coming. So we're going to see. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody out in the chat. My man Neverland, Graphic God, just killing it out here. Top Dog, Philosopher Doom, Disinfect Anime that only came in for like 35 seconds. Man, come on, brother. Who else is in here? We got a lot of people. We got a lot of people watching now. Y'all always do this, right? What I'm about to drop. Everybody want to come in here. Should I sing a song? Always in forever. Yeah, I'm tripping. I need my coffee. Oh, my man Thomas Franks. Hey, yo, big up to my man Thomas Franks out on Facebook. Very good PlayStation. Damn, my fault. Very good Xbox dude. Be coming up with a lot of good information. Check him out on Facebook. Man, bro, you got to get on Twitter. You got to get on Twitter, Tom, because that's where I spend most of my time. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody. No, we was doing it up, man. It was very good interactive chat, man. I appreciate all of y'all as always, man. So that's it from your boy MM2K. The message for the day, y'all, is look, enjoy your God of War. I'm going to play it, and maybe I'll enjoy it too. But I just want people to be responsible. Understand the power that we hold. Like I said, we done got it to the point, like within a week's time, we had territories and countries labeling loot boxes as gambling. You know what I mean? So we have a lot of power. So understand the power in your words. When you say the greatest ever, let's understand what that means, and let's understand the broad appeal that it has. Before I do, when I get God of War later today, I'm going to stay tuned. I am going to release my scoring system. I have a scoring system, and I just want y'all to know in advance that graphics and aesthetics only make up 25% of what makes a game good to me. It's on equal footing with 3 other measurements. Okay, so I'm gonna release all that to y'all. Y'all see my review. I'm gonna do like diary reviews where periodically, as I'm playing the game every few hours, I'm not gonna give you a score, but I'm gonna give you my feelings on the content at that point in time, and then I'm gonna finish off with an overall score. So everything's gonna be in depth. I'm not gonna get out here, jump out the window. This game is trash. It's horrible. No, I'm gonna give you my thoughts in increments at a time. I tried to do that with Horizon Zero Dawn, and I just couldn't. I'm sorry, I just couldn't take it anymore. But I'm gonna finish this through, and then you're gonna get an authentic score that is based upon fair time with the game. Okay. Let me finish off the chat, though, because I saw some more people put some things in here. The way these Sony guys talking, stupid seems to be the best-selling exclusive. Oh, they play that. Oh, dude, you just hate the truth, says Top Dog. Neverland. Oh, good. Neverland with his better with the resty stuff. I got some entertainment to see before I get home to play God of War. Oh, man. Yeah. Stevante McClary. Welcome back. Thank you very much. God of War and Rise plays basically the same. With that said, they're both good to me, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Look, I am not going to jump all over whether someone likes a game or not. I just want people to understand the powers of words like 10 out of 10 and the best ever. Those have a context of a universal impact. That means this spreads across multi-genres, and a lot of people that are doing YouTube content don't understand that there are different genres of gamers. Like, people are shocked that I'm a gameplay fanatic. They don't understand that. How can you just not like story? How, in my 30 plus years of gaming, how can you only like story? You know what I'm saying? And if anybody has any measurement to judge what's going on, I have it over you, but I'm not going to play that game. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been here since the beginning. But nevertheless, I understand that that gaming has grown, has expanded, it's changed in a lot of ways. Now there are people that are focused more, like on the one cat that told me. Again, I still can't get over it, but it is what it is. This is truth, and they spoke the truth, because they're not the only one that feels that way. They would rather have a banging. They would have a good story over good gameplay any day. You know. So, Graphic God said, with an amazing story, visceral combat, and stunning graphics, sign me up. There we go, baby. There we go. But they don't understand. They don't understand, Jay. They don't understand, man. I don't know why it's so hard to understand. Stevante McClary, that God of War definitely is not a 10. See, I come from an era where 10 out of 10 was rarely seen. We put, like we say in the, we put respect on that name. We put respect on that 10 out of 10. And now you see 10 out of 10s flying everywhere. Like, someone could, like, okay, I'll put it to you like this. Actually, you want to know my favorite game from last generation? My favorite game from last generation is Rainbow Six Vegas 1. That is my favorite game. But with that said, I understand that it does not have the universal appeal to be the favorite game for everybody. I understand that. So therefore, that's why you always hear me talk about Mass Effect and BioShock. Mass Effect and BioShock have those universal appeals. Even though I like Rainbow Six Vegas better, it was more intense to my game style of gameplay. Mass Effect and BioShock tapped into my zone of gameplay, and I know it can tap into a wide range of zones of gameplay. That's why I say those are the epitome of gaming. That's why those are 10s to me. That's why because I'm putting respect on that name. It's very easy that I can say Rainbow Six Vegas is a 10 because I like it. But no, as a content provider and as somebody that's putting reviews out there, you got to be able to see things at a wider scope than just you and the people that fit your genre of games that you like. And yes, understand there are different genres of games that people like. So that's why I'm not out here hollering that Rainbow Six Vegas is a 10 out of 10. It's not. It's one that I like. And a lot of these, I hate to be the old man saying, a lot of you younger gamers that are newer to what makes the gaming community, y'all don't understand that. Y'all all been herded in like sheep, and y'all all follow this narrative of story, acting, cinematics. And there's people that have been gaming way before you, even a lot of people developing the cinematic shit that you're eating up, that gaming is more to them than that. Top Dog says Rainbow was okay, and I can understand why you can say that. But I wouldn't go out there and jump out the window and say Rainbow Six Vegas, the first one was a 10 out of 10. No, it's not. Even though that's my favorite game from last gen. Because they have a broader scope in being able to see the different communities and genres of that are out there. And I can say fairly, even I can be honest and come down the middle and say that Rainbow Six Vegas, though my favorite game last gen, is not the game that is going to have the wide reach to everybody. So when you use terms like the greatest ever, whatever, you know what I mean? You got to understand. You got to understand that you are of the interactive cinematic movie approach. I'm hearing people talk about the gameplay is excellent, but they're not talking about anything that requires strategy or tactical approach, whether it's swift or drawn out to garner success. They're just talking about when Kratos rips his head off and you hit that button, it happens quickly. When you hit the button, the head rips right off. That's what I'm hearing. What the fuck? What is that? What is that? That's not gameplay. That's press, watch, and plop. Come on. Stop. Now, I'm done shaking my fist at the window. I'm done talking about steaks and shit at Golden Corral that smell like onions. I'm out of here, people. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you, Steve Vontae, for joining. You know what I mean? Hey, if y'all got God of War, enjoy it. I hope y'all loving it. You know what I'm saying? I hope y'all got what y'all wanted. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna be fair. But again, I'm gonna do a quick hit when I get it in a few hours. I'm going to do a quick hit, and I'm going to talk about why I rate games the way that I rate them. So you know what to expect from me when I'm judging this game. So there's no mysteries. And if the game is hitting on all those levels, I'm going to say it, you know. So it is what it is. But big ups to everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining. You know, thank you, Graphic God. I appreciate you as always, bro. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for gracing your my channel with your presence, man. It means a lot. And everybody, y'all, as always, until later today, until I ride it out pony, y'all have a wonderful gaming day.